All right. Welcome to the After Dark Film Society podcast. My name is B.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Chloe.
Sunny.
And today we are going to be talking about two objectively pretty bad movies. If you don't know what our thing is about, basically we have been working through the filmography of the cast of Dead Poet Society, through the good, the bad, the ugly, a lot of it bad. And today we've landed on a doozy of bad. Mahoney's Last Stand, which is a 70s lost film that was pretty much only released in Canada. And then The Greenskeeper, which is a 2002 absolute shit show of a horror movie, but it also meets stoner comedy. So we have questions and we need them answered. So, to start off, we're going to be diving into one of the strangest and most obscure films of the 70s, Mahoney's Last Stand. It was co-written by and it was starring Alexis Canner, with a young Sam Waterston appearing and playing kind of an odd little sidekick. This forgotten oddity is part political satire, paranoid fever dream, and part wilderness survival meltdown. Does anybody want to start with the plot?
No, I want to start with why does Sam Waterston look like a member of the Beatles in this movie?
Because he serves cunt, okay? He needed his ears protected for whatever the fuck was coming out of Mahoney's mouth the entire movie. Because could you understand him? I couldn't.
No. This movie's about a guy, and he's starting his very own farmstead.
Yep.
There is no plot. That is the plot.
So as we were saying, basically this movie is a man tweaking in the woods for 2 hours. Sam Waterston is there. There's a woman there.
His old buddy, and then there's a woman who lives down the street. She's also in this movie. I don't remember what she does. She do.
I think she's like the first person to speak to Mahoney out in the wilderness. I can't remember. Does she have sex with Sam Waterston's character or Mahoney? I can't remember.
It's Mahoney in the haystack.
Right, twice. And at one point she shows up and he's in the outhouse and he is so weird and awkward that he will not leave the outhouse, which is an interesting 5 minutes they've dedicated of valuable physical film.
Or Sam Waterston to go talk to her instead and be like, "I know he's not here right now. I don't know what that's about."
Yeah, because I think a running theme between these two movies is people don't want other people to know that they shit, is what we're learning. So, to circle back, this movie is really fucking weird. It was made at a time, because it was a Canadian made, produced movie, and it was only released in Canada, which is why it's so interesting that Sam Waterston, of all people, was starring in it, basically.
Hey.
No, as in he was a lot bigger than this movie.
No, this movie came out didn't this movie come out before I feel like he was
he wasn't huge because he didn't get massive until what, Law and Order?
No, before that, he was big in theater in the 70s, and then he was in The Killing Fields in the 80s, and then he was in Law and Order in the 90s. Yeah, this movie
this
came
was around
out
the time when he was doing Much Ado About Nothing, right?
I think it was before that. I think James Waterston, who's in Dead Poet Society, I think he had either just been born or was like I don't think Sam had done anything
of like no at
prior.
this point.
No.
Okay, because I don't know why I always like equate him as being like getting big around this time, but I think it's also me just looking retrospectively at like everything he's done since and where he is now. I guess I don't know. It's an odd choice for him to be in this movie.
What I'm trying to say is he needed a paycheck because he just had a baby.
Word, true.
And was separating from his wife.
I don't know. Okay, that makes so much sense. But for some reason, I thought he had been in more notable things before this.
Not really.
Okay. Well, I'm not the Sam Waterston aficionado in this chat, so I will leave that to Sunny, and I will treat her word as gospel. Yeah, like this was made in Canada, released in Canada, produced, etc. And it was made at a very interesting time because it was made when Canada wasn't sure if it was like British, American, or like something else entirely. Like it's oddly a surreal window into a country wrestling with its own identity, and a man who like just wants nothing to do with the whole thing because Mahoney leaves his life in like the city and he just wants to go to the fucking woods, which I'm sure reflects how a lot of people felt at the time regarding Canadian politics and where it was at as like identity wise. I know we had already kind of touched on it, but it features a very unlikely duo. Like it features Sam Waterston, who was known for later mainstream roles like The Killing Fields, Law and Order, and even if we're going really wild, Grace and Frankie, which I will defend to the day I die.
Would you need to defend it? It's the greatest show ever made.
Period. And he was paired with Alexis Canner, who isn't as well known, and he had mostly done smaller, like cult level stuff. Like he did the show The Prisoner, which I see a lot of parallels. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of The Prisoner. It was a late 60s sci-fi drama where it's this man, he retires from being a special agent, and then he is knocked out and moved to this island where it is basically a replica of his house and like a neighborhood, but everyone there is only referred to as numbers, and it's basically a giant prison. It's really surreal. It's insane. It's actually pretty good despite the fact that it was made in the 60s. But Alexis Canner is in that. And I see a lot of weird surrealism parallels between like The Prisoner and Mahoney's, because at the core of it, Mahoney's is a weird fucking movie. But with that, it's kind of like a juxtaposition of, you know, Sam Waterston, who would become this like polished actor with a lot of theater credits and a lot of well-renowned roles, with weird countercultural bullshit that this movie is.
Sam Waterston is not above being in a shitty Canadian made-for-TV film. Like I said, he, get that paycheck. Do what you gotta do. Feed your family. The lore just behind this film, first of all, we picked out wanting to watch it because the poster for it is absolutely insane. It's like a chicken with human legs sitting on a toilet with a rifle, a shotgun that looks like his dick.
Yeah, it's shredded abs. It's a very concerning poster.
And we were like, well, we're gonna watch this now, because the last sentence of the description on it was like, it never had a home release. It only aired on Canadian television, and we were like, well, we want to watch this because this poster is insane, but how are we ever gonna view it? It was only ever on Canadian TV, and then someone just put it on YouTube for free. So so that was helpful. And then I mean, just in the recollection I had, because to be fair, I did not rewatch this movie because
it is 2 hours long, and
it's
it feels like it.
It is like it's we're talking about how kind of bizarre and but at it, this movie was just fucking boring, and it's a lot of people standing around and talking, and it's Sam Waterston's character, who I don't remember his name, and Mahoney in his last stand. They spend a lot of the movie arguing with each other about nothing and just kind of yelling at each other. And for some reason, anytime there's an indoor scene, they have like one light source
in the other room.
It's dark as hell and you can't see anything. It's like you're watching like late season Supernatural, or not late season, early season Supernatural, when they just didn't believe in lighting and every scene took place in midnight. Whereas the later seasons, they have like, I mean, most of it is on a studio set, and so they have like the sun right there. Anyway, my point is as we were watching this, and I have kind of a similar tale with the next movie when we get to it, of this was one of the first times when we were watching a movie, and like we've watched bad movies, and I've watched very bad movies. Like I was in the Bad Film Society in my year at university. Like I've seen The Room, I've seen like Neil Breen movie, like I've seen all of these. This was one of the first times where I said to these three, like, if you don't want to keep watching this, I'm okay with that.
But I feel like the juxtaposition of like The Room and Neil Breen movies, especially Neil Breen, where you want to keep watching because you have no idea what's going to happen next, whereas Mahoney's, it is very slow, and it really is just a man tweaking in the woods for a good 2 hours.
I mean,
and he's like weirdly paranoid.
We were kind of waiting for the plot to kick off, which we were kind of waiting for that with the Greenskeeper too, when we were like, when is this gonna get really good? And I think it got really good when he tried to kill himself by throwing himself in front of a horse and the horse wouldn't stomp on it.
Yeah.
That.
That was like a lot of these scenes are out of place, except for the fact that it's every fucking scene that feels out of place, you know? But I kind of appreciate how disjointed it is, because it reminds me of the movie Head, 1968, which is purposely a movie with no plot, to the point where you can watch the scenes in any order and still have a movie that like connects. Where I feel like Mahoney's, it's really just a series of vignettes of this man fighting demons.
I don't think that on its own is, I don't think that that's a bad idea. Like, the concept is a man, goes onto a giant field and is like gonna rebuild, and he's not gonna interact with anyone. Like he really is going into the woods to live deliberately, and like that's fine. And I don't think the concept of here is kind of mini sections of this guy's life living off the grid. It's just like so what? Like there's not really like I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really remember there being like a theme to this movie. I don't remember like a moral, an arc.
Yeah, I feel that it is very slow in that sense, where it doesn't feel like there's a motivator or there are any stakes. It's just this man goes to the woods, his friend shows up, there's a woman, and I don't know, like, I appreciate it. Like, we have had this conversation before where I am trying so hard to redeem this movie in the eyes of the others.
You can't.
Which hasn't worked thus far, but I feel like it does feel weirdly nostalgic for me because I grew up on a lot of old Canadian movies and television, and this really does feel reminiscent of other things that I've watched where, like, I don't know, it just feels weirdly nostalgic, even though objectively it's not a good movie.
Nostalgia does not make a film good.
I know, but I can appreciate how slow it is because it really does remind me of a lot of slice of life stuff that I grew up watching that was very uniquely and distinctly Canadian. And I also did some digging, and I found reasons to contextualize what was going on when this movie was released that could, in a way, potentially soften the hate, potentially. Not sure. I don't know how confident I feel in that statement, but I did find some interesting parallels into what was happening at the time in Canada. If you guys have a minute to lend your ear.
Did they have 5 whole Canadian dollars to make this movie?
I doubt it. I fucking doubt it.
Then I don't care.
Pardon me, Chloe?
Were they sponsored by a pea farmer?
Nah, they put this shit together with like 20 cents and a piece of string, okay? So when you think of counterculture in the late 60s and the 70s, what do you think of? Like, what are some movies that really stand out to you?
The Magical Mystery Tour by the Beatles.
Bars. Any others?
Hairspray.
Hairspray, okay. Are we thinking
Yellow Submarine by the Beatles?
Yellow Submarine by the Beatles. Are we gonna throw in Help by the Beatles while we're at it?
No, that was 1965.
I know it was 1965, but it was their other movie, okay? And like A Hard Day's Night, but he's just a clean old man, okay? But are we thinking like Easy Rider, The Trip? Girls Trip? No, The Trip. It was starring like Peter Fonda. It's basically this man on his first ever acid trip. It's weird as fuck. But American counterculture and even UK counterculture, it was very loud, very in your face, expressive. Like American counterculture in particular, you had a lot of movements like anti-Vietnam War protests, you had Black Power movements, student riots, and like the Summer of Love. So, it was very explosive, I guess. There was like Woodstock, Kent State, Chicago 7. At its core, it was very public, dramatic, and often met with violent opposition in forms of rebellion. Whereas if you look up north, Canadian counterculture at the same time was a lot quieter. It was a lot more passive aggressive, a lot more absurdist. It was like more internalized, I guess. We did have like communes up here, draft dodgers, psychedelic art, but it was a lot less, I would say, notable in the global scale. So at the time, Canadian film and music was very satirical. It was very ironic, and it was full of themes of alienation. Think like Bruce Cockburn, Leonard Cohen, or like even really early Cronenberg. It was, instead of confrontation, it was withdrawal and detachment, and kind of a passive resistance. Because the 70s in particular was a very pivotal time for Canadian self-definition and our identity. Because unlike the US, which had a very clear revolutionary mythology, or the UK, which had centuries of monarchy and empire, Canada's identity was very murky all the time, because at the time we were still tethered to Britain legally and symbolically, because the UK didn't fully patriate the Constitution here until 1982. But also at this point, we were overshadowed by the US, especially economically and culturally.
USA.
America.
USA.
Yes,
God
very bad.
bless
And
America.
God bless America. But at the time, Canada was also very internally fractured, because there were a lot of tensions with English and French Canada, Indigenous land right movements, and a growing sense of self-alienation between the UK, US, France. It was a whole thing. So it created a kind of quiet identity crisis. It was very anxious and ironic and very repressed as a society. From speaking to my family members who were around and sentient beings at this time, it was a very, very weird sense of repression throughout the whole country. Because who are we if we are not British, if we are not American, and we aren't unified at home? So a lot of our media at the time was simple. A lot of it was based in nature and walking away from society, in a sense, because like society was so varied at the time. So Mahoney, I feel like, in a way, is reflecting the identity of Canada at the time, where he's trying to opt out of this identity he never consented to. Like, he's not just rejecting, cities and whatnot. He's rejecting modernity, bureaucracy, ownership, surveillance, the whole lot. And his dream of wilderness and self-sufficiently really perpetuates a big national myth at the time. And that's me on my soapbox, trying to help give context to why this movie is slow.
And if only the nature and wilderness of Canada didn't look like a barren, like, grass wasteland. And
I mean, it was filmed in southern Ontario. Like, I don't know what you expect. They weren't gonna go that north.
When people talk about, oh, I'm gonna go live off of the nature, and I'm just gonna eat grass and bugs, I picture someone, going into the Rocky Mountains and feeling the water trickle down the rocks, and going up on horseback, and going across to the canyon, and feeling the red rocks. I don't really picture someone going to like a wheat field and just sitting there arguing with Sam Waterston for the rest of his life.
But I feel like we've established that this movie was made with like 20 cents. So I doubt they even had the means to like go further north than like
the whole budget was just getting Sam Waterston from New York City to Ontario, and then they ran out of money.
Because geographically this movie was filmed not that far from Toronto. So I'm pretty sure they reached a certain point geographically and were like, you know what? Nah, we're not gonna keep going.
Yeah, I mean, because like I feel that sense of, oh God, I wish I didn't have to be in society. I wish I didn't have to live in a city. I wish that I could just go, live in the trees and stuff. But like, I'm also from Kansas, And I don't know if you guys know this, but Kansas, the nature is not that diverse per capita. It's very flat and it's very yellow and brown. Like we got grass. There aren't
wheat fields.
there aren't a lot of like there are trees, but there aren't really like forests. There are lakes here and there. Out west, it gets kind of closer to being somewhat hilly because it gets closer to Colorado. But I saw a lot of me driving to Omaha in this movie where it's just like miles and miles of nothing. And I am not all that inspired by the miles and miles. I mean, maybe there's something inspiring in that of like, it's just a blank slate and anything is possible. Which, I mean, that's what, my German ancestors probably thought when they moved to Missouri. They were like, no one's here.
Yeah, I think the movie also does a pretty decent job at dispelling that myth of like living deliberately, like running to the woods off grid because he's just having a bad time this whole time.
Turns out it sucks when there's no running water.
Yeah. Homie couldn't be bothered to go to one of the Great Lakes that are surrounding the area, but no, he's just having a bad time the whole movie, and I feel like it kind of dispels the whole romanticism of just living in the woods.
Well, also, I think the privilege you need to have to be like, I'm gonna leave behind my air-conditioned home, and I'm gonna go, because like, and not to get fucking political or anything, but like, there was a time when there were people in Canada and in America who knew how to grow plants and knew how to live off of the land, and then white people came and killed all of them. And so like
it really
does
perpetuate
what to do, and they knew how to live it, and a lot of them struggle to live it because it was destroyed. And then you have all these poets like Robert Frost and Walt Whitman and Henry Thoreau who talk about, I love living in New England because I just love looking at the trees and I love looking at the water. And I read that and I'm like, I also love trees and water, but like people are dying for me to look at the trees and the water and the grass.
Yeah, I feel like it does perpetuate that like white like savior kind of, I don't know, that romantic. You know how you get all these like TikTokers who are like, oh my god, like cottagecore, I just want like a little farm. But they don't realize how hard it actually, like the work that goes into it.
Yeah, it isn't just
feels like that.
It is unfortunately not just wearing nice dresses and eating strawberries. You do have to go out and pick them when it's fucking hot and humid, and it sucks.
Yeah. So I feel like this movie is also, because at the time, Canada has always had a really interesting, and by that I mean bad relationship with Indigenous culture, and cultural genocide. So, and then the 60s and 70s, people were finally starting to recognize that the effects of white colonialism are bad, and that Indigenous people should have rights that were taken away. So I like this movie.
Sure.
Oh yeah, and it's still something that's going on today, and it's still a big issue. But not to get too into that politically.
Yeah, not to get fucking political.
Not to get political, but there were still residential schools happening at the time. But
yeah, about this frankly awful movie.
Yeah. But the movie, it's to sum it up, white man is like, I can live in the woods. Cut to white man having a bad time for 2 hours and nothing happens, and It's not a great movie.
Hay pile.
Yeah, he twice. He tries to kill himself, but the horse says no. But yeah, Mahoney's Last Stand. I feel like we've wasted too many minutes on Mahoney's Last Stand. But the soundtrack, side note, the soundtrack by Ron Lane are so good. Would recommend the soundtrack any day of the week. The movie, as much as I can appreciate it, it's not a great movie. So we can move on.
Before we go on from Mahoney's, I was just thinking about it. And that chick, the girl he fucks in the haystack, wasn't she like the daughter of the neighbor that sold him the house? Or am I making that up in my head?
You could tell me anything, and I would be like, that sounds right.
Yeah. Because, like, I swear to God, there's like a beginning scene. I'm never watching this movie again. But I swear that's like how they knew each other, and she was like next door and would come over and like want to hang out.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
They'll know each other.
And like Sam Waterston's plotline was like way more interesting and understandable than Mahoney's, because wasn't he like he went to Mahoney because he left his girlfriend, and then she called him up and was like, I'm pregnant. And then she came and stayed with both him and Mahoney.
There was another character?
Yes, remember? And Mahoney kicked them both out the house because they would just fight and it would piss him off.
No, I don't remember.
I do remember Sam Waterston having a car full of women.
At one point,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to keep remembering random things about this movie, but we could definitely move on to Greenskeeper.
Oh, Greenskeeper.
I have two things to say about Greenskeeper before we even get started with it. Is that with Mahoney's Last Stand, I said to the three of you, if you guys don't want to keep watching this, we can watch something else. The Greenskeeper is the only time that we had to pause watching the movie just to like take a breather because it was so bad. And again, I've watched bad movies. We've sat through bad movies together, but this was one where I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I might have to stop.
Yeah, I couldn't even come up with a like intro for this, because to watch it, I think Ashley had to find it on DVD.
Yeah.
And
that was the second thing I wanted to say, was that the way I'm pretty sure, Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong, we got this from DVD Lady.
And yeah, no, actually I don't think we did. I think I got it off eBay.
Off of eBay, okay.
Yeah.
Got it off of eBay. And at some point during the movie, so okay, when you are releasing a movie to film festivals, you'll send them like a DVD or maybe a VHS back in the day, whatever, to be like, can I show this at your film festival? And they say yes or no. And then you bring them like a clear copy of it, but on that like first copy of it, there will be a marker in it every now and then that says like, do not distribute or something. And Ashley's DVD had that marker every now and then throughout it. So I don't know what black market this this movie came from, but it's in Ashley's possession now.
That's like the worst part too, because this movie gave me a headache so bad. Like, it was such a bad movie that I actually had to take ibuprofen after watching it.
Not and it ibuprofen.
Was one of the pricier movies I've purchased. Like, it wasn't obviously like insane, but like I can find some of our movies for like $5, and this was like a $15 fucking movie for like no reason, and I'm just stuck with it forever.
Well,
yeah,
I think it's a privilege to be stuck with it, because so no one else has to see it.
Yeah, literally.
We're removing one copy from the market.
Circulation.
Yeah, we are saving one life today.
I would say send it to Al, but I think Al would return it to you straight away.
Yeah, he
He'd
would.
throw it away.
So do we wanna reel it in for a second and talk about the plot of this movie?
Oh boy. Okay, so this movie predominantly takes place at a like golf course resort, something you'd see in the coast. I would find a lot of this in Florida when I lived there. And
It's
it was
basically
owned,
musical too.
yes. It was owned by Al's dad, who is dead. And
Question mark.
Al, despite want to say being in his early 30s, is playing like a 23-year-old in this, and it's really obvious.
It's like they tried to make like a slasher movie that is also a stoner movie, like a stoner comedy.
Oh, okay. So the plot is that he has this golf course and he is going to inherit it. But all of a sudden, people start dying. A lawnmower guy dies, and then it's not his friends because he doesn't like any of them, but people whom he is associated with who are partying at the golf course start dying as well. And they're trying to figure out, oh my god, is this the Greenskeeper? This is a legend of a man who haunts the golf course or whatever. So that's the basis. The content of this film. So
I'm really surprised that you didn't mention Officer Cobb.
Okay. So you're okay. You're probably wondering what happens. So Al lets his buddies into okay. They're at the golf course. And I need someone else to talk about it because I don't even know where to start.
I'll try my hand, because I sadly am probably the only one here who technically watched it a second time because Sunny requested screenshots.
I did.
So it opens up on Al's birthday. I don't remember his character's name at all. And
wasn't it Alan?
Yeah, it was Alan.
Yeah, that works. We can still call him Al. And he keeps having like visions of his dad, who is like the original greenskeeper who maintained the golf course. And he like wakes up and his girlfriend like fucking hates him. Let's establish that. Like she's just dating him for like, it's either his original dad or the stepdad that owns the golf course. I don't remember.
It was his dad. His dad owned it.
And isn't the stepdad his uncle or something?
Well, I don't remember. I just know that he's going to inherit the golf course.
Yeah.
But
Al doesn't know about this yet, right?
No.
Yeah. And so like he goes about his day and he's one of the new greenskeepers of the golf course. And he works with like
Otis,
this like terrible black character, yes.
Token black character named Otis.
Named Otis. And he like goes about his day cleaning the golf course, mowing it. There's a whole montage.
Yeah, there's a montage, and the music in this montage is such a shitty loop. It lasts for like 5 seconds, and then it repeats for minutes.
Yeah,
and it's so bad.
But like while he's going about his day and it's his birthday, he goes to dinner with his mom, who's like fucking cracked out. She's And they're all
his
sitting at
girlfriend
the
who he
table.
hates.
Yeah, and his girlfriend who he hates, and his stepdad who's just creepy. And he's like the manager of the golf course at this point in time. And they're all wearing party hats, and it's like a really awkward scene. It looks like the beginning of the Shoes music video. It's it's not correct. But then his girlfriend, well, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's a hot waitress that he is into, but his stupid ass girlfriend is crashing out in the bathroom over I forget what. And wants him.
The waitress and the other staff at this golf course are Hispanic. And he tries to be like, guys, I am a greenskeeper. I am one of you. And they're like, brother, your family owns this place. Like, we're trying to live. We're trying to, like, you know, that kind of a stereotype of Hispanic workers, working in kind of upscale, I don't want to say white establishments because it's not technically a white establishment, but like that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And he wants to be like cool with them, but they are not cool with him because his family owns the golf course. They're like, dude, we are not the same.
Yeah. Except for well, not really except because she feels the same, but like she thinks he's cute, the main one.
Yeah.
And so his shitty girlfriend convinces him to sneak them all into the golf course late at night for a party. So Al invites the hot waitress to come with. And on his way to this party, he's like riding his bike in the dark. And he gets pulled over by the one and only Officer Cox.
Officer Cox is
Yeah,
a rejected member of the Village People. Like, such an insane stereotype of a gay man.
And
of
not
course,
like not in like a every gay, in like an offensive stereotype.
like he speaks with the lisp. He has a limp wrist. He keeps hitting on Al.
Yeah.
Like, at one point says something, he's like, I don't care what you do outside of your like when you're not working, I don't care what you're doing. So the reason that we're bringing him up is, like any other horror movie, people are always wondering, why aren't they calling the police? And the reason that they can't call the police. Chloe, do you want to tell us what happens?
Why they can't call the police?
You hear the phone ring and you get an insight into the police station where Officer Cox, the one and only, is a little strip show in the police station, and I think I blacked out the rest of the scene.
It's a gay strip show, and he's tied up and cannot do his job. Therefore, all of these people are going to get murdered on the golf course.
And I'm like pretty sure Officer Cox genuinely does the limp wrist several times.
Oh yeah.
Yes. This is 2002, by the way.
So we should just be grateful there's any representation. But my God. Okay.
Okay. So he lets them in.
Yep.
Well, someone dies during the day. Doesn't someone like get pushed in the lake or something?
No, they get like knocked out with the golf club or something, and they find him in the middle of the day. I forgot about this. And they're all like in the pool and like naked, because of course, like why wouldn't they be at this point?
They do so much coke in this movie.
Yeah, it's insane. Like
they do heroin at one point, which is pretty funny. And
the best part about all of it is they all do so many drugs and they're like doing them incorrectly. like it's never right.
Not that we would know anything about that.
Yeah.
I've never done a drug.
General knowledge, but it's insane.
So let's get to the murder. So there comes a point in this movie where it turns into, when I say pornography, I am talking like tits bouncing, ball slapping pornography.
Like Ron Jeremy is quaking pornography.
Yeah, and so the deaths in this, the kills, as you would, in this movie are incredible. There's one person, two people. So the little machine that they use to make the holes in the ground, for the golf course.
Yeah, it's like they call it like a
flagging.
speaker or something. I don't even know. It's weird.
I don't know. The Greenskeeper, who has decided to kill everyone in this party, uses that through two people having sex on the golf course.
Yeah, and they're having sex in the middle of the golf, like, just.
And then there were deaths that occurred on a tennis court, I'm pretty sure, but I don't remember how.
The ball machine, and the Greenskeeper dumped a bunch of nails in the.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Flinging the nails at him.
Classic.
The thing about the people who die in this movie is they're unforgettable because we are not, like, given any insight into them as characters, except for the fact that they just party and they do a lot of drugs, and it's basically the same, like, person copy pasted a bunch of times. So you don't care about these characters.
Oh no,
you know
aren't
that
the guys' names like Chad, Brad?
Yeah.
something. They had like all of their names, like they purposely went for this.
Yeah, all of the girls like have huge boobs, like they are all stereotypes of themselves. If you are familiar with the kind of vibe of the fourth Final Destination movie, that is the vibe that this group of friends have, is the fourth Final Destination movie, which is the worst one.
And there's a whole argument about whether or not girls are capable of shitting, which I feel like we need to bring attention to real quick.
And say what?
I don't know. There's just a whole argument about it, and it was so crazy because they spent. It wasn't a throwaway line or two. It was an
They
argument.
spend at least 3 minutes talking about it.
And I don't even know if they reached a conclusion.
Wait, guys, I found it. It was Chet, Chaz, and Champ. We're their names.
Yeah.
Somehow
We're
that's
pretty
worse.
generous with our guesses.
That is worse.
But okay, so then 2 people are killed in the pool playing Marco Polo.
Yep.
I don't remember how, but I do remember the Greenskeeper like coming out of nowhere. He was like hiding in the water.
And didn't he come up like perfectly dry?
Yes.
Yes.
Which is fucking crazy.
Okay, so things start to get real when Al, who has gone home for some reason, he's gone home, but the waitress, whose name escapes me, she calls and is like, "Hey, everyone's dead and someone is chasing me. Please help." So he goes back to the golf course, and I think Otis dies for the first time. And then they're hiding from the Greenskeeper in like a shed or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember if they try to formulate a plan or, I mean, what? So then they're in a different shed. Then they're in a different shed, and they see the Greenskeeper, and the Greenskeeper has a gun or something, and then Otis comes back to life and shoots the Greenskeeper, and it turns out, okay, the twist is that the Greenskeeper was Al's dad.
That we thought was dead.
That we thought was dead, who was a ghost?
I don't think we ever find out.
/ is real. He got like radioactive something poured on, or like acid poured on him. And so then his stepdad, who's his uncle, wanted to kill Al so that Al would not inherit the golf course that he would. But then Otis comes back to life again and kills the stepdad.
And like the actual Greenskeeper, the reveal is like 2 seconds and then he fucking dies?
And then he died. Well, so I don't understand.
Yeah.
I do not understand.
I don't understand.
So the stepdad wanted to kill Al so that he wouldn't inherit the golf course, that he would have it. But
yeah,
what was he doing? Were he and the Greenskeeper, other than them being brothers, were they connected in the deaths of his friends? Why were his friends killed?
Honestly, I have no idea. Because I think there was some weird thing about the Greenskeeper trying to protect Al or something.
Was that what it was? That he thought they were all a bad influence?
Something like that?
He was a bad influence, and all he does is sit at home and smoke weed. And the people he lives with are all just watching milk porn all day. And
yeah, the milkman, I forgot about that. And he like pours milk over girls' tits.
Yep. Forgot about that. It's like an in-universe movie?
Well, and these people, this stoner group of people are just sitting at this couch constantly, and they keep cutting back to them, just like casually having a movie night and doing their thing.
Someone's mom is there.
Yes. Is that where we see like Al's bare feet like filling the whole camera, or is that a different?
Yeah. No, I think that's right. I think we get the foot shot. But also
he's on the phone in his office with his feet up on the desk, and it takes up like half the fucking screen.
Like Tarantino is in the other room, crying, quaking. Why didn't he think of that?
Tarantino has his dick on the screen right now.
Also, at the end, you know, instead of rightfully being traumatized by watching several people, including his dad, get absolutely murked in front of him, Al and the waitress, who are covered in blood, they just laugh.
Well, they got covered in blood, though. It was like the
shot the Greenskeeper.
No, they shot him, and then remember they had the sprinkler hose stuck in him, and it was sprinkling blood, like how it sprinkles water on the golf course, and they were just like letting it hit them.
And they were laughing.
Yes. And it was his dead dad like spraying blood on him.
And didn't they kiss too?
Yes, while all bloody.
Yeah.
I think so.
Such a like the whole ending, they sandwiched, like they crushed all of that into the last like 5 minutes. So
and then they all just laugh and leave.
And that's it. Roll credits. And we do have confirmation that Al himself, the actor, thinks the movie is really bad.
How could he think otherwise?
I don't know. Some people are weirdly defensive about their filmographies, but we do have confirmation from him, straight from the source, that it's a terrible movie. Because Ashley did reach out and ask, huh?
Yeah, here, I can read it. So I was having a prior conversation with him, and then I decided to throw in, also curious how you got involved with the Greenskeeper. That was quite the film, because I didn't want to offend him if I said anything else, and he actually liked it. And he returned with, quite a horrible film. It came to me through some production friends in Hollywood. I did it because it was a lead in a feature that I was straight up offered without having to audition for. I've had a few of those in my career, but never a lead. It was a great experience, plus now I can say I was a lead in a Roger Corman film. Being able to say that is a badge of honor for me. And that's all I got.
I don't know who Roger Corman is.
Yeah, same.
Like an old producer. It's bad.
Do you ever okay, here's the thing. People have to write these movies. And people read them and are like, yeah, I'll fucking fund this. And people have to read it and go, yeah, I'll be in this movie. When Alan Ruggiero, 30 years old, was reading I Don't Think Girls Shit, he went, yeah, I'll do that. I'll be in that.
Yeah, I just want to know the thought process, because there are movies that are so bad they go full circle into being really fucking amazing, such as any Neil Breen movie. I think we were just screaming the whole time because it just kept getting worse. When you don't think it can get any worse, it just kept getting worse.
Literally.
And I feel like it really captured everything wrong with early 2000s pop culture in one movie. Yeah.
I'm laughing right now because I just was looking up our Letterboxd reviews on this, and Sunny wrote, "This is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. I wish the Greenskeeper killed me in real life."
What were the rest of the reviews? Like, what else do we say?
Yours was B, all girls know how to do is fuck, snort obscene amount of coke, and shit still up for the debate.
And Chloe, what was Chloe's review?
Chloe was Al, you owe me. Half star for Melissa McCall's final girl cell phone fumble sequence.
And yours, Ashley?
Mine was, this single-handedly had to be the worst thing I've ever watched, and yet Al was still cute as hell.
True. I genuinely don't think I don't know what else we could say that hasn't already been said in our reviews or this past half hour of us going, what the fuck? If any of you have any closing remarks, because we are reaching an hour, which I'm surprised we were able to talk about these for an hour. Does anyone have any closing remarks? Any final statements to put out into the world?
What I will say is, as a creative, as a writer, something that stops me from writing most of the time is I don't think anyone's gonna like this. I don't think this is gonna be enjoyable. I don't think, this is this gonna sell? Are people gonna receive this? Will people want to fund this? And that stops, I would say, 90% of anything I want to write from getting written or being finished. And watching both of these movies just gets added to the list of, if this got made, I can do anything.
Yeah. I feel like you should just have like a motivational poster that's just those two movie posters, and every time you look at it, you just get a newfound sense of, at least I'm not those guys.
I can get my fan fiction made into a film.
Well, I mean, 50 Shades of Grey.
Mm-hmm.
But if those can get made, if a Colleen Hoover book can get made into a movie, if Mahoney's Last Stand can get made, and if The Greenskeeper can get made, I think you can do anything. And with that, we will leave on a hopeful note of
just literally,
literally anything is better than those two movies.
Mm-hmm.
So keep going at it, and just be glad you don't have to watch these movies.
You're welcome.
You are so welcome. All right. Thank you so much, and have a great day having not seen these.
Yeah.